Are back in the win column. First of all, as a coach, after losing 2 straight, how big of a load off of your shoulders is it to get that win?
We won a big game, and that's the thing. Obviously, having dropped the 2 previous games, and then going on the road, you're playing a team that is 0-6, but has enough talent to beat anybody on any given night. And so, this was a very big game, and I was very pleased with the way our players approached it. They understood what we had to do. They didn't get caught up in looking at the opponent's record, but more so on just how we had to play and prepare, and we were able to do that. So we knew it was going to be a difficult game. It was. The plan did not call for us to spot them 13 points like we did in the first 3 minutes. But I thought our kids showed great character, great grit coming back from being down 13 to be up 1 at the end of the first quarter, down again in the second quarter, and came back from that. So all in all, a very good trip, very satisfying win.
And it wasn't just going on the road and taking a team hungry for a win. You had to do so without your starting quarterback. What did you tell Casey Mims before the game, and what did you think of his performance?
Well, I told him to hang on to the ball in the first play of the game. He didn't follow directions on that, did he? Casey's a great kid. He's going to be a very talented quarterback in time. A really good skill set right now. Brings a lot to the table in terms of the intangibles with some fire, some spark, a very live arm when he throws the ball, and good feet when he wants to run the ball. So he's got a lot of those. He's just young. He's just very young, inexperienced at this point. What I told him was just be himself, number one, and try to, in his mind, slow the game down as best you can. And our plan going in, whether it was Casey or Alex at quarterback, I think it would have been the same. We're going to run the football first. I mean, we really believed that we had an advantage up front, our offensive line against their defensive front. We wanted to play to that advantage a little bit. And certainly when it became apparent, okay, we'll have a first-time starter, we can help him out by running the football and not ask a lot of him in terms of reading defenses and such. So we followed a plan, and the plan worked. It was great to see. But I thought for a first start, he did just fine. Obviously, a couple glaring mistakes, the fumbled snap on our first play being the most notable. But he had 2 touchdown passes, stuck a slant route in to Marquise Deadweiler, and then off a play action, a nice post corner also to Marquise, and grew in confidence as the game went on. And you could see that, if you're at the game, you could see that happening with him. And there was a point, I think it was late in the first quarter, early in the second, he comes, okay, coach, the nerves are done. I got to go in now. It's what you want to hear.
Great, and something we talk about almost every week, weekly occurrences. Nick Riccadulli.
Yep.
What more can you say about the guy after a performance like this?
Well, I keep saying, every game I'm, giving him the ball too often. Got to reduce his carries because it's a long season. But he keeps producing. As long as he keeps producing, we'll keep feeding him the rock. And he's like the Energizer Bunny. He just keeps going and going and going. And I think he's the type of back that as the game goes on, he may get better. He was an arm tackle away a few times from, I think, breaking some big runs. But 45, carries in a game, that I've never done that with a back before, and quite honestly hope I don't have to do it again. But in that type of situation, he was producing. The offensive line, had confidence when run plays were being called, and as long as we were getting the production that we needed, it was the right thing to do Saturday night. But hopefully we can get a little more balance there. But again, you got to really admire the young man for how competitive, how tough he is, and the toughness that he showed in that. Because when you're a running back carrying the ball 45 times, you are taking the pounding. And I saw him in the locker room after the game, big old smile on his face, and he told me then he could have done more. So it's great to have it, and I'm glad he's on our side.
Do you worry about overextending him with that amount of carries, even though he says he can handle more?
Well, there's always that concern, and then maybe more so earlier in the season, as we look to a long season. But he's handled it well, and he's a weight room guy. He's in the weight room all the time, so he's prepared himself for these type of situations should they arise. And again, he loves having the ball in his hands, and it's like a pitcher that wants the ball in the 7th game of the World Series. He's got that type of competitive drive, and you can win with that, believe me.
And we talked about the defense, and you mentioned how important defense is to this team. They held Azusa when they need to get the job done. How do you feel about the defense?
I was very, very pleased with our defensive performance overall. They gave up that first drive on Azusa's first possession. for a touchdown. Then they gave up a drive early in the second quarter. Other than that, they were very, very solid. Azusa's running back had 11 yards in the second half. And obviously, Colton Russi, having him back in the middle is a huge addition to our defense. And I just think the presence of him in the middle makes everybody else better around them. And so it's nice to have Colton back and healthy. And Chris Peterson played an outstanding game as well. So we're getting good production from our leaders, which you must have. And again, our defense has been a little frustrated with the two previous games, as our entire team has been frustrated. We know we're better than that. And I've said from day one that we're going to have to lean on this defense. And it was great on Saturday to do just that, lean on a defense in a tight ball game and have them respond like they did.
Another tough matchup this week against Dixie State. You guys get to play at home. What threats does Dixie State possess?
Well, it's just, Dixie has shown earlier in the season they're capable of beating anybody. And so in terms of, what I've told our players is we could focus on the fact that we beat them by 36 points at their place a few weeks back, or we could focus on the fact that the team we're playing is the team that also beat Central Washington and Western Oregon, the two teams that have defeated us. So again, we know what they're capable of. They've been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team. When they've been good, they've been very good and have beat the best in our conference. And then they've struggled at other times. They struggled last week up at Western Oregon, and we caught them on a night where I think it was our best game of the season thus far when we played them at their place in St. George. So, again, a lot of respect for how well they're coached, a lot of respect for the effort that they will bring come Saturday. They will bring a great deal of emotion, and we just know that the team we're playing is capable of playing with the very best in our conference, and we have to be at our best to get the outcome we're looking for.
Coach, I don't know if you guys set the alarms earlier or what, but the beginning of games have been tough on the Lumberjacks the last 3 weeks. How do you guys get off to better starts?
Well, we'll look at that and kind of find out why. And obviously, the last 2 weeks we've given up a score defensively. Our offense to the opponent's defense. 2 weeks ago against Western Oregon, it was the interception return, lineman batting it down, catching it, and going in, and then the fumbled snap. So we've got to identify, is there a common pattern that's leading to this or not? I don't think so. I think it was just two situations that happened, but we need to get off to good starts. It's kind of the reverse of what happened earlier in the season when we jumped on our opponents. Against Colorado Mesa, we scored on our first series. Against Azusa Pacific the first time around, which was the second game of our season, we jumped out early to a 28-7 lead or something like that. Early in the season, we would get off to a good start and then kind of go into neutral a little bit, and that was the issue. Now we're dealing with kind of the flip side of that and giving up some points early and having to come from behind. Again, no magic formula. We just got to figure out a way that we've got to go out there, and if it's our defense on the field first, if they get a 3 and out or get a stop and get the ball back to our offense. If it's the offense on the field first, and we take care of the football, which we have been very good early on. We were at +8 after 4 games in the turnover takeaway category. We're +3 right now, so we've been -5 in the past 3 games. That's a huge stat in the game of football, and it's an area that we obviously have to improve on and get back to being on that plus side.
What do you guys do to get Victor Spencer the ball more?
Jamie, that's a great question, and I know Victor's frustrated by not getting the ball enough. We're frustrated that hasn't happened also. Obviously, last week was a different type of game that the plan called for us to run the ball. We knew going in, we said 50 runs. I think we ended up having 63 or something like that going in. But Victor is a playmaker. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands, and we've got to find ways or just create situations where we know he's going to get his touches. It's basketball, you want that scorer to get the ball and get his touches so he can get the points. Victor's that way for us. He's dynamic. He's a playmaker. He can make big things happen from very easy short passes, and we've got to do our part. Just call his number more often.
Will JJ Latu continue to return punts?
Yeah, that's a role right now that we see JJ taking on. I think it's going to help Victor where he doesn't have to do that as well. But I was very pleased in the first time out. JJ was a kid that had a concussion after the opener against Colorado Mesa, had been out until last week when he returned to practice. And so having him back there, he's done it before. He's got, he secures the ball well, and he will continue to have that role.
Final question. Homecoming, hopefully to be a big crowd, and obviously you're at home. That energizes players. Do coaches and the coaching staff notice anything different when you're calling a game from an X's and O's wise, or the way your players react at home opposed to maybe on the road?
We feed off the emotion of the home fans, obviously, and I've always felt the Redwood Bowl is a great home field advantage. So the bigger the crowd, the better the atmosphere. The better the atmosphere, the players respond to that, and again, the energy that can be generated in a Redwood Bowl with a large crowd, with chainsaws, with everything going the right way, and us providing reason for the fans to get excited, and the chainsaws to get fired up. It's a pretty special place, and so we hope there's a large crowd. We know homecoming is always a very special time, and in talking to the players at yesterday's meeting, it's one of the things we touched on, that homecoming is that one game where there will be people there that it's very possible that it's the only game they'll see all season long. And so we want to make sure that they leave impressed with what they saw, because they're going to then talk to friends and other alumni that aren't able to make it, and the word travels that way. And again, so our players do. They get very excited for when they get the opportunity to play at the Redwood Bowl and wear the home jerseys, and hopefully we'll have a large crowd and give them reason to get excited.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Okay.